Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Master Builder Show. I am your host, Jim Gibson. Today's show is sponsored by the First National Bank of Weatherford. I am president of Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, a registered builder in the state of Texas, and a graduate master builder certified by the National Association of Home Builders. My guest today is Jean Gibson. How are you?
The real power behind the throne.
Yeah, well, she keeps me, I guess,
grounded
and in business. Today's topic is going to be foundations and
other things.
Yeah. And if you've got any questions, please feel free to call us at 877-341-8950. That's 877-341-8950. We're talking about residential construction, remodeling. And to check out any builders, go to www.masterbuildershow.com. And then when you get there, it'll take you to my main webpage. Click on TRCC, and it'll take you into their site, and you can check out a builder, remodeler, to make sure he's registered. And you had some questions you wanted to ask.
Yeah,
today.
I did, because if I don't hire a remodeler or a builder, and I just want a painter, an electrician, a plumber, a roofer, a carpenter, on anything, or a fence guy like we're looking for. So you're looking for specific crafts that don't have to be registered, right?
Well, they have to be licensed electricians, licensed plumbers.
And licensed painter?
Well, no, not really.
No.
Not really.
So, you've talked over the last year, you've been talking about looking for registered people, crafts people, and given some really great suggestions. We've had wonderful people come in and chat. But I also remember you stood there and looked at a brick wall at a house and said, that was not a good job.
Right.
And I look at it, and one brick is glued to the next one. It looked perfectly fine to me. So what I want to ask you before you go on to your stuff is, how do I tell when it's a good brick job? How do I tell when it's a good paint job? If the wall's a different color, it works for me.
The thing you need to do is, if you're going to hire somebody besides a builder or remodeler that's going to be responsible for the job and then warranty the job and make sure the job is done correct, what you need to do is get references from whoever you're going to use, whether it be plumber, painter, or bricklayer.
Then you're assuming that those people knew better than you know.
Well, first of all, you want to see if they're honest, if they completed the job, if they, and go look at their work. And if, you can tell sloppy work.
Tell me what I'm looking for if it's not good.
Well, every person, I've had bricklayers and I've had rock layers, and I've had bricklayers that could lay brick beautifully, but they couldn't lay rock. And I've had rock layers that could lay rock and couldn't lay brick.
All right, and I've seen both of these and can't tell the difference between good and bad. So
I've
tell me.
I've got people now that can lay both, but when the house that we were talking about, it was one that was down in Granbury. And what I look at is the mortar lines. And if
and what about them?
Well, I want them to be uniform. I want them to be consistent. If I tell him I want 3/8 inch indent on when he scrapes in between the bricks, that's what I want it to be all the way through. I want it to be straight. If there is a change in slope, like on your porches and stuff,
right?
It starts at the wall, and you might have a 2-inch drop going to the exterior or to the outside portion of the porch, and that is when it rains, you want the water to run away from your house. Well, you can look at some of the houses that you see will have the mortar will get wider as it goes toward the edge of the porch.
Okay.
And bricklayers I use, they actually cut the brick in a wedge, and they keep a mortar line straight and the same all the way down.
Parallel to
the
well, it can't be to the slab. It's got to be
it's parallel to the brick above it. But what he'll do, he'll cut the wedge in the brick, so you don't have the wide mortar gap. You've got this consistent mortar gap all the way down, even from the base of the porch to the bottom of that bottom brick. And mainly what you're looking for is consistency. That's primarily what you're looking for, is consistency in everything that he's laying.
So you're talking about the horizontal. What about the vertical lines? What do I look for there in the vertical lines?
Same, consistent.
Do they measure?
No, they just.
So they eyeball it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a good bricklayer, he doesn't have to measure. Now on their horizontal, they'll string across and make sure that they're level. And they do use a level to make sure it's level, and vertical. So they want it to be plumb.
So would I be looking for a guy who's measuring in both directions? Would he have a plumb line?
You're not going to see him measure at all. You're probably not going to see him measure.
So I'm not going to know.
You're not going to go out and watch a bricklayer lay brick, probably. You're going to go hire some guy, knowing you, and just say, how much do you charge?
Yeah. So, get her done.
What you need to do is go look at his final product, because if you do it after the fact, you either got to tear it out and redo it, or and hire somebody else. So you want to go look and make sure that it is pleasing to your eye. What is you may like sloppy work. I don't know.
Should the brick so it doesn't fall off the house? Should it lean back when you're looking down the line?
No.
Remember my brother digging a wine cellar under his house in Georgia?
Yeah.
And the entire house shifted backwards, but the brick on the face of the house stayed upright, and then finally leaned out and fell off. It was it wasn't even attached to the house. So the brick should be attached to the house, shouldn't it?
They have brick ties they nail up, and they should.
How often?
I like them about 3 foot apart, 2 to 3 foot apart, depending on how high the if you're laying a 20-foot vertical, or if it's 10 foot or 8 foot. But I usually use anywhere on say a 2,500 square foot living area house, which is we probably use 2,000 ties.
Wow. Okay, so my brother's house, where the house and the
I never saw your brother's house, so I don't know.
The house and the brick separated completely. It wasn't attached at all. Okay, so for brick, I've got a pretty good idea what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the
consistency in the mortar
lines,
and
level, horizontally and vertically.
Yeah, you can sight down the wall on the brick.
What about stone, though?
Still, you want it consistent, and you want it to be straight, even though it is
a bumpy texture and
irregular shapes, but it's still going to be vertically level or plumb, and horizontally. Normally they do a mixed pattern. We use when we're using Austin stone, we might use 4, 6, 8, and
but those are cut to those sizes. When I'm thinking, like our old house in Connecticut, it was fieldstone,
right?
And everyone's a different size and a shape and texture, and it still looked right.
Yeah,
but I didn't know what I was looking at.
You never know what you're looking at, right?
Oh, we're getting all zings in here. Okay. All right. So I've got a fair idea on those. But what about a painter? You know that you've told me that these are really good painters.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, if the wall's a different color, I know a painter's been there. But what am I looking for?
Look around your trim. Look at everything at the changes in color. If he's going, I know you like to paint one wall an accent wall, and then maybe the rest of the room a different color. Well, look how he's cut it in on that wall. And normally they don't put tape up. They just cut it in by hand. And then look at all his work on the trim. And you'll notice my painters, they usually spend anywhere from a day to 2 days, maybe even 3 days, caulking and plugging, and making it look like it's molded plastic. I mean, you can't tell.
You're talking about the trim.
The trim, yeah.
And where it joins.
And where it joins, you want it to look like it's just all one piece. And then where the sheetrock or whatever you've got meets the trim at the top of the baseboard and at the top of your at the bottom of your crown molding, you want to make sure when they cut it in, it is consistent all the way around. You don't want it to. Should it
be a perfect line?
Well, it's hand done, so it's not completely perfect, but by the eyesight, you can't tell from the floor if it's not, exactly straight.
And they should take off all those switch plates,
all the switch plates, all the hardware, everything. They don't paint that, and
take down light fixtures for the ceiling.
Yeah, and a little trick that my painters do too is on the hardware, they will label with a piece of masking tape where they take the hinge off the door on the back side.
They take the hinge off the door to paint it?
They take the hinge off the door. They take the hinge off the walls because they paint the doors without any hardware on them. Oh. But they'll take a piece of tape and they'll write door number 1. and they'll have right where the hinge goes, where the hinge plate goes, they'll write that and put a piece of tape over it. So when they can paint the entire thing, they pull that tape off, and underneath the tape there, where the hinge will cover, it'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, and they keep them all straight. And it just helps them and helps me. Yeah. They get the same door that was put on there by the trim carpenter or whoever installed the door, go back in the same place it was.
What's the trick with windows? I mean, I grew up in an old house, so the windows were painted shut. So what's the trick on windows and all the, all the little squares in the corners?
What about them?
Well, I mean, do they hand paint those around, or do they scrape them afterward? Or, I mean, personally,
we got to take a break. We'll be back here in a few minutes.
Did you know that some of the best home builders in the entire nation are right here in Parker County? Hello, everyone. This is Lynn Bearden, president of First National Bank of Weatherford. Our lenders believe your family deserves the best when it comes to your dream home. First National Bank is proud to support the Master Builder Show on QXFM. First National Bank in Weatherford has been building homes in Parker County since 1880. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
YourCircleOfWealth.com. A recent study by one of the world's largest financial institutions estimates that over 90% of baby boomers will not retire financially independent. We have prepared a financial report entitled Your Circle of Wealth. Learn how changing the way you manage your money can dramatically increase your wealth. To get a copy, you may go to www.yourcircleofwealth.com and enter the passcode Gibson, Gibson. That's YourCircleOfWealth.com.
Fort Worth Lighting, serving Parker, Wise, Palo Pinto, and surrounding counties with a selection of interior and exterior lighting fixtures. They also have ceiling fans, mirrors, and vanities in all sizes. A lighting consultant will help you with your decisions. For an appointment with a Fort Worth Lighting consultant, the number is 817-597-6320, or the website is fortworthlighting.com. 817-597-6320 for Fort Worth Lighting.
North Texas Basements, 817-770-2768. With over 30 years of experience in residential construction, add extra living area, storm protection, and extra room that will be easy to heat and cool without needing a large piece of ground to build on. Think about having a basement in your next home. North Texas Basements, 817-770-BSMT or 817-770-2768. Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, 2401 Zion Hill Road, Weatherford, Texas, 682-429-2116. We specialize in homes to suit each and every individual that expects special attention. We help design, finance, and close on every home we build. We use green building techniques in all of our homes. You can contact Jim at masterbuildershow.com. Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, Weatherford, 682-429-2116. Welcome back to Master Builder Show. I am your host, Jim Gibson. Today's show is sponsored by the First National Bank of Weatherford. My guest today is Jean Gibson with Gibson Home Builder, Vice President, Chief Cook and Bottle Washer.
You are so good to me.
I know, this morning.
Buttering me up.
Anyway, we're talking
about windows and painting them.
Right. Well, most of the windows we put in, matter of fact, none of the windows we put in, we paint. We use a lot of vinyl, and you just order them the color that you want. And, the homes we try to build, or we want to build most of the time, are low maintenance.
Yeah.
And so you want to try to put in things that are already the color that you want them, either powder coated or molded in. And that way you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
It's not going to paint or chip, crack, or peel.
Yeah.
It may... and that's what you're looking for. You want some low-maintenance items and a green product or Energy Star product to save energy, especially with our gas prices accelerating the way they are.
Killer. It's going to make houses so expensive.
Well, everything is trucked in or trained in, and so as the diesel prices, I drive a diesel, and it cost me about $130 to fill up last week. This week it'll cost me more because of gas prices going up.
Wow.
But I pulled up next to a trucker the day before yesterday.
Yeah.
I said, "How much is your bill?" He said, "Well, this time it's only $1,200."
What, to fill his truck?
Yeah, that was one side.
Oh, that's tragic.
Well, they pass
did you
it
see
on.
that thing? Yeah, and that's the kicker. That thing on the whatever show we were watching, and somebody finally did the math on. Oh, they were talking about the economic gas cars, and that to go from your SUV to one of these hybrids or to something that got better mileage.
Yeah, right.
And the person doing this show said, "You have to do the math." It was a $600 a year savings, but they turned around and spent an extra $5,000 because there's such a demand for these.
$5,000 over retail.
Yeah, they were vying for these cars.
Right.
So if you save $600 a year on gas and spend $5,000 to save that $600, the payback is ludicrous.
Well, it depends on how much you drive. If I'm driving, like it costs me anywhere from, we're spending probably $1,000 a month now on gas at minimum, $1,000 a month on gas because I drive a lot.
Is that the Royal we were using?
Well, no, that's me.
Yeah.
Basically, I drive.
I drive a Volkswagen diesel. I get 50 miles to a gallon, and listening to these shows, and there's going to be bonuses and premiums for anybody who can create a vehicle that will do 50 miles to a gallon. My car is a 2002 Volkswagen Beetle.
Are you advertising for them?
They never advertise. Then say
that's
with great
because
mileage.
they've stopped making that model. They've stopped making those particular engine. They've gone to a different diesel. We're talking about building shows here.
Oh, I know. I digress. But the kicker was that the cost of the house is going to go way up.
Yeah.
So you're going to find more people staying put. Would be my estimation that they're going to hire somebody to do a job to fix up the house they're in.
Yeah, but the cost of fixing up a house costs you a lot more than it does to build new. My suggestion, if you're waiting, if you're out there waiting to build a house, I would go ahead and start.
Get her done.
Get her done, because if gas prices keep escalating, prices keep going up. And I've found with a lot of materials, OSB. Take, for instance, OSB sheathing, which we use.
What do you do with it?
But it goes on the outside of the house, and it offers. We put the tie back over it. If you're going to put brick up or anything, you've got to have something that you can nail your brick ties to. Mm-hmm. But back when all the hurricane seasons came through, and all the devastation was going on down in New Orleans and Florida and all that. Well, this was a couple of years ago. Well, OSB, it might have been more than that, because OSB was like $8 a sheet or so. And then it went up to $20 a sheet because of supply and demand. They were shipping it all to the areas that was needed. Mm-hmm. And then the price came back down to $12. And so it.
Is that where it is today?
I have to look and see what it is today. My lumber companies and most lumber companies out there today are only guarantee their prices for 10 days. Used to, they would guarantee them for 30. And there might be some people out there that are still guaranteeing for 30, but they don't know from week to week how much it's going to cost them. Just like these gas stations now. They can up the price today and they up the price tomorrow. Well,
that was one of the things on the news. They're having trouble keeping up with it all. And that's the other thing,
too. Well, unless you can stockpile a lot of... I was talking to a guy that we were doing some steel buildings. Uh-huh. And he bought, he went and bought a warehouse full of steel. Uh-huh. Because the price was fixing to escalate again. And it's already gone up like 3 or 4 times this year. Mm. And the same way with concrete, it's gone up twice that I know of, and possibly a third time going up. And all of it's going to go up because of diesel. And we've got to take another break here. It looks like we'll be back here in a few minutes.
Did you know that some of the best home builders in the entire nation are right here in Parker County? Hello, everyone. This is Lynn Bearden, president of First National Bank of Weatherford. Our lenders believe your family deserves the best when it comes to your dream home. First National Bank is proud to support the Master Builder Show on QXFM. First National Bank in Weatherford has been building homes in Parker County since 1880. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
Are you looking for a law firm with an understanding of the construction industry? Kelly M. Davis & Associates experience includes home inspections, construction contracts, disputes with builders, and helping subcontractors or vendors that have not been paid for their services. For more information, you may visit www.kmdalegal.com or you may call 972-434-8009. That's 972-434-8009.
Kelly M. Davis and Associates, principal offices are located in Louisville, Texas.
Alamo Appliance, 100 South Riverside Drive in Fort Worth, has been dedicated to serving your needs in kitchen appliances for over 35 years. They offer Genair, KitchenAid, Whirlpool, Maytag, Amana, and many others. Their experienced sales staff will help you make the right decisions at the right time. That's Alamo Appliance, 817-531-2701. Once again, that's Alamo Appliance, 817-531-2701.
Fort Worth Lighting, serving the building professional in Parker, Wise, Palo Pinto, and surrounding counties. Services include planned takeoff, site walkthrough, and delivery. For an appointment with a Fort Worth Lighting consultant, the number is 817-597-6320, or the website is fortworthlighting.com. Again, it's 817-597-6320 for Fort Worth Lighting.
Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, 2401 Zion Hill Road, Weatherford, Texas, 682-429-2116. We specialize in homes to suit each and every individual that expects special attention. We help design, finance, and close on every home we build. We use green building techniques in all of our homes. You can contact Jim at masterbuildershow.com. Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, Weatherford, 682-429-2116. Welcome back to the Master Builder Show. I am your host, Jim Gibson. Today's show is sponsored by the First National Bank of Weatherford. My guest today is Jean, and we've been talking about different things today.
I know you want to start your show, but I just had some thoughts.
Just keep on trucking.
Well, what we were talking about in the break, too, is the other thing to look for in your painter, plumber, carpenter, whatever, is someone who is wise with the materials that you're paying for.
Correct.
And one of the things that I noticed was one of your trim carpenters particularly was a good steward with materials. He didn't seem to waste as much.
Starts with the framers. It starts.
Oh, it's a framer?
Yeah.
And they're economical. Tell me, with a painter, what am I supposed to look for when I hire my painter? Tell me what's a good job. What does it look like?
I thought we'd already talked about that.
We talked about him trimming in.
Yeah.
But should he be... What we didn't say is if he's going to do a change of color, should you expect him to know to put a primer on the wall? Do you have to primer every time? Change a color to block it out?
It depends on what color you're covering up. And it depends on how old the wall is. If you've got yellowing on the wall, we use a lot of kills on the wall. If you've got some older sheetrock, like we just did a remodel on a garage here, just last week or so, and all we did was just redo it. Did his garage. It wasn't insulated, and we went in and we kept one wall, the wall against the house. We kept it the same, and it had a little yellowing on it, and all this stuff, and we primered it with kills, and then came back in and shot it. And it just depends on what you're covering up. Now, if you've got bare sheetrock and you're using a particular type of paint, it's always best to primer. Because a dry sheetrock absorbs paint. Well, yeah, and it, like I said, it just a better seal, and you want your paint on the your final coat to be whatever color you've picked out, and you don't want anything else bleeding through. So if they're not going to primer the wall, then you're going to have to do 2 coats of paint. Yeah, a lot of times you can primer it with the same color that you're painting it with. So it's a trade-off. Yeah. And cheap paint, we've done that once. We did cheap paint That was on one of our own houses we built a long time ago. Yeah, and the painter brought his own paint? No, I went down and bought it because I thought this was a good deal. Yeah. Well, it ended up taking twice as much. And it had to be repainted. And it had to be repainted in about 3 years. It was less than that. I've repainted it. Yeah. That was not a good plan. No, and that was I don't know, that was a long time ago. But you don't use, you get what you pay for. You get what you pay for. If you use good quality materials, it may cost you twice as much in the long run, but you don't have to worry about it. I mean, once you do it, it's there, unless you just decide that you want a different color. Mm-hmm. There's certain brands that we use, and we stick with them because of their warranties on their paint. And all that.
Reliability.
Reliability.
Well, that's it with any craftsman. So it goes back to what you said. Since they're not registered, you don't have a resource. The Better Business Bureau may not have a record on them. So that what
the
you
only
need.
way they'd have a record is if they were a member. And most of these guys out there aren't members. They can't really afford it. Unless they're a large company. And you can go to some of these places that are, nationwide. Yeah. That provide painters and provide roofers and provide everything.
But you've got to go look at the job. You
need to either get references and go look at his work if you're thinking about doing it yourself, or just hire a contractor to help you out. A lot of times it's worth the extra money.
Oh, you don't work free, huh?
And and get somebody that's going to be responsible that you can get in touch with. Yeah. I mean, you don't want somebody that comes in and, I've heard stories of painters coming through that will paint and at a half price of what we normally pay. And they're just coming through town painting.
Yeah. Well, that's it with all the crafts. You run into that after every bad storm with all the roofing companies that show up in town, and you need to be careful who you're hiring and check references, resources, everything on those people, because, well, if they want half up front, you may never see them again. I mean, there's some real challenges. Are you subsidizing the purchase of materials for this company? And that's one of the things that makes me nervous.
A lot of legitimate ones want half up front, too.
But you can check for legitimacy.
Right.
So you need to do some homework. Yeah. Well, the other thing, too, about that came up just recently was about the mess that the guys make when they're working on a house. You're doing a remodel, and you've got things pulled apart and a dumpster in the yard, and when painters come in, they don't do the whole paint job at one time. And then you had somebody else coming back in and doing something else. So what the contractor was doing was orchestrating all these craftspeople to get a job done.
Right.
And the owner said, but this is messy. And your response is, wait till it's done, right?
Well, I have each one of my people, they come in after they get through whatever particular job they're doing. They're to clean it up and make it like it was for the next guy. And if you keep it cleaned as you go, then it stays pretty well clean throughout the entire process.
But you've got craftspeople coming back in.
Yeah, you've got craftspeople coming back in. What they will do, they'll say, well, you didn't paint this particular portion, or you didn't do this.
Yeah.
And the reason we didn't do it, because they redid the floor and they pulled all the baseboard off after the paint was done. And so, yeah, it wasn't done because they pulled it back off. And so we had to come back in, recaulk, repaint. And so there's a lot of things. And until the contractor walks off the job and you write the final check, the job's not over.
And you need to hold back that 10% until you have your final walkthrough. Do you do that when you hire just a plumber or a painter? You wait till the job's all done for the final payment?
You've got a punch out that we normally withhold. Yeah. And most of your guys that are working, they take a portion of it anyway. Uh-huh. Like when they come in, they do their rough in, and then they'll do their top out, and they'll do their trim out, and the trim out usually cut them a check.
Well, the other thing that came up this week was that you were putting tile down in a bathroom, and you took the commodes up. Well, you could have tiled right around the base of that commode.
You keep telling me I'm doing all this stuff, and
you don't remember
me.
it?
Well,
I hear parts of conversation.
You hear parts of conversation and don't pay attention.
Well, do you take up the commodes or don't you?
Yeah, you take them up, and it wasn't me taking them up. It was the flooring company taking them up.
Okay.
So what they did, they came in, they pulled up all the toilets and everything that was on the floor so they could tile in all the way around.
Why couldn't they just leave them down?
They could, and if you want to do a sloppy job. in my opinion, because you can come in and tile around it, and say the customer came back in and he said, well, I really like this other toilet over here, that different type of design and all this other stuff, maybe a year down the road. And he comes in and they pull the existing toilet and they try to put this other toilet down. Well, it's maybe a different shape at the base. And so you've got where they've cut out around to fit that particular toilet in there, or not remove it. And it's best to go ahead and pull everything off the floor and do it right. Yeah. And
is there any problems with the seal when you put a tile down?
Not normally, because they've got different sized wax rings that you put under them.
And the wax ring would then go on top of the tile, and the commode goes back on the wax ring. And
it all goes on its. There is a connection, a flange there that they're going to put the toilet back on, and so it goes on the same flange. They don't tile over the flange. Nothing's changing on that. It's just the outline of the base of the toilet that may change, and so.
But I was just thinking, that if I were to do an individual project, kind of lets you hang out there unless you've got a contractor to work with who can actually line up these things and explain to you all these different things that are happening. I mean, personally, it doesn't make sense to me to take this all up. But once you explain why it's a better job, when you look past the immediate result, it makes sense.
Well, yeah. Well, everything, whenever we start a project, everything has a particular order that we go in. And everything has to be done in that order pretty well. I mean, you can switch a few things around, but there's a reason for the order. And it makes the job go faster, easier, and we've worked as not the major contractor on some of these jobs that we've worked on. And that's been a problem because the customer himself thinks, well, I know what I'm doing. And they'll come in, they'll hire their own electrician separately, hire their own plumber separately, and they've got all these people hired differently in no particular order as to how they bring them in. And then you've got to work around scheduling. And the way we work it, we schedule them, and I'm calling and telling this guy 2 weeks before I need him that I'm going to need him on this particular day. And so everything is scheduled either a week to 2 weeks, maybe even a month ahead of time. So it makes the job flow very easily. Yeah. When everybody is clicking now, if somebody drops the ball and something doesn't happen during the chain, then you've got some problems there. But normally once you get it in a drive, something like that, it doesn't happen.
So a job is done when it's done and not before then. And you let the contractor handle its schedule and the cleanup and the organization. So even though it looks like it's not finished, it shouldn't be finished at that point. All the painting that's gotten chipped up with people moving stuff in and out will be fixed before the job is finished.
Final punch out, yeah.
Well, that's great. All right. I'm never going to do a project.
I hope not. We've got some new laws coming up. They're going to be effective September 1st, 2008, and they were passed on a House Bill 1038. And it's qualified new and or residential construction commenced on or after September 1st, 2008 in all unincorporated areas are going to be that are not subject to municipal inspections. They're going to be subject to inspections by an approved fee paid or paid inspector. So every house built out in the country where nobody inspected anything except the septic tank before.
Right.
Unless you had third-party inspectors coming out inspecting.
Which you paid for.
Yeah, you pay for them. And like if you got your Energy Star inspectors come out and do Energy Star inspections, lead inspections, stuff like that. But these are going to be mandatory inspections that the customer is going to end up.
They tell you how much it's going to run? Huh? They give you any idea?
No, not yet. No.
Well, are they inspecting a finished house, or are they going to inspect the project all the way through?
No, they will inspect it just like our municipal inspectors do today. They'll come out and they will inspect foundation prior to pouring. They'll inspect all your plumbing.
All the stuff that's hidden in the walls.
And they will come in. They'll do a framing inspection, electrical inspection, HVAC inspection. and then they'll come in and do a final. And and it's going to, you're going to have to pay for them to come out each time.
Yeah.
And all that's going to be put back to who's ever buying the house, because, contractors and builders are in business to make money.
And we've built where there had to be inspections,
Well,
where you had
everybody
to
has.
But I mean, you had to coordinate it. I just saw, other than the money, was a timeline. These people are busy. And once you make it statewide, make it a law, you may have to add to the timeline of construction.
Well, the problem we ran into on inspections, if you've got regular city inspections and city inspectors work on a daily basis in that area, you don't really have any problems. The problem we run into is some of these towns around here that have rental inspectors, I guess you'd call them. Contract inspectors, but they only come on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So, or whenever. I don't know the particular dates, or they come Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Problem is, if you've got stuff scheduled to go ahead on, like, he comes out and inspects on Tuesday, and you get a red tag for any particular reason at all.
A red tag means
you've got to stop and correct whatever problem that you may have. Well, he's not going to be back out until Thursday, or say.
And hopefully you've got it repaired by then.
So you're shut down on Wednesday that you were going to do whatever you were going to do.
Yeah.
And he's got to come back and inspect on that Thursday. So if you had scheduled say you were doing a pouring concrete, and you were scheduled to pour Wednesday morning at 4:30 in the morning.
Yes, I remember
and
the trucks rolling.
you get a red tag on Tuesday afternoon. He won't be back till Thursday, and after 5. And so
it's too late to schedule.
It's too late to schedule
after
anything.
You get cleared.
You're already scheduled his concrete work 2 weeks in advance, and it may mean it just depends on your delivery time, how busy the concrete drivers are, and how much has been scheduled in front of you when you can get them back out there again. So,
I never asked you, but what happens if, say you got a red tag on a foundation and you went ahead and poured?
Yeah.
What happens then?
You better tear it out, or they could make you tear it. I mean, it depends on what it was.
Yeah.
It depends on what, it depends on what they red tagged you for. So, yeah, you don't do that.
You don't mess with the inspector?
No. They shut you down. They just shut you down, stop
the
the project.
authority of the state as of
You might have a
September.
slab there that's there. And so, you can't go any further until you get green tag.
Well, what's the penalty?
I don't know.
You just don't mess with inspectors.
You don't mess with inspectors. I mean, you just correct whatever problem that they see and go forward.
It's going to be very interesting this fall.
Well,
but it makes it better for the individual buying the house, though.
It will level out the playing. It will take, like most of the builders we associate with, they're all building to code anyway, or building above code. And it's taking, what it's going to do is level the playing field for those that are doing it right to start with. The only thing is it's going to cost more because you're going to have to pay the inspectors. So those of us that are doing right will keep on doing it right, and the only thing different will be we'll have to pay an inspector to come out and
change
inspect
your timeline, possibly.
And, well, you just work around that. And they're supposed to have next day. They've got companies out there that are wrapping up. They're going to have next day inspections. And so you'll be able to schedule them fairly fast. And what it's going to do is level the playing field for those that aren't doing it right to start with. And so they're going to have to correct what they're not doing right, which is going to, in 9 times out of 10, is going to cost them more to do it right. And so it's going to cost them that fee plus the fee for the inspectors. And all this takes effect September 1st, 2008. And it's House Bill 1038. And for more information on this, you can visit www.trcc.state.tx.us. And that is the Texas Residential Construction Commission. And
are these inspections related in any way to the LEEDs?
No.
Isn't it LEED?
No.
That's just green inspection. That's not quality?
They've got several different certifications that you can get now, and each one of them has particular inspections. Now, a lot of these inspectors do LEED and do Energy Star, and they can do quality control programs. They can do code compliance. They can consult. They're third-party plan or review inspectors, permit, expediting. They do a lot of things, but it just depends on who you hire. I mean, like I said, they're trying to get a bunch of these things wrapping up now, so you're going to see a bunch of new businesses starting that they've got to be TRCC certified county inspectors, and all the inspectors, they should be ICC residential combination inspectors. And looks like we got to take another break. We'll be back here in a few minutes.
Did you know that some of the best home builders in the entire nation are right here in Parker County? Hello, everyone. This is Lynn Bearden, president of First National Bank of Weatherford. Our lenders believe your family deserves the best when it comes to your dream home. First National Bank is proud to support the Master Builder Show on QXFM. First National Bank in Weatherford has been building homes in Parker County since 1880. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
Are you having a construction-related issue? Do you need a construction attorney? If so, you may call the law firm of Kelly M. Davis and Associates. Kelly's family background in the construction industry has led to her focus in construction litigation, with over 9 years of experience practicing construction law in and around the metro area. For more information, you may visit www.kmdalegal.com, or you may call 972-434-8009. That's 972-434-8009. Kelly M. Davis and Associates. Principal offices are located in Louisville, Texas.
Fort Worth Lighting, serving Parker, Wise, Palo Pinto, and surrounding counties with a selection of interior and exterior lighting fixtures. They also have ceiling fans, mirrors, and vanities in all sizes. A lighting consultant will help you with your decisions. For an appointment with a Fort Worth Lighting consultant, the number is 817-597-6320, or the website is fortworthlighting.com. 817-597-6320 for Fort Worth Lighting.
Croft Foam Insulation and Protective Coatings has over 25 years of experience in the spray foam business, serving residential, commercial, and industrial clients. Croft Foam specializes in open and closed cell polyurethane foam applications to construction, refrigerated trailers, and even castles. Croft Foam is a Fort Worth-based company. You may reach them by calling 817-482-1664 or email at foamman@swbell.net.
Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, 2401 Zion Hill Road, Weatherford, Texas, 682-429-2116. We specialize in homes to suit each and every individual that expects special attention. We help design, finance, and close on every home we build. We use green building techniques in all of our homes. You can contact Jim at masterbuildershow.com. Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, Weatherford, 682-429-2116. Welcome back to the Master Builders Show. I'm your host, Jim Gibson. Today's show is sponsored by the First National Bank of Weatherford. And my guest today is my wife, Jean Gibson. We're talking about everything today.
Well, I won't ask any more questions. You had a show prepared.
It's too late now.
These things occur to me. I see all this.
Well, you better have some more questions.
I got one. Where's Mac Davis?
Where's Mac Davis? Mac is out
sleeping.
No. He had 5 appointments to go to before 10 o'clock this morning. So Mac was up early out running.
He's doing roofs. Right?
At
the moment.
At the moment, he's actually going out and doing measuring and stuff for a roofing company, and they're so swamped that they're using all the help they can get. And Mac knows what he's doing, so he's out there working for a living.
Well, for a change, I want Mac to get
for a change.
I want Mac to get one of these nice old houses. Actually, I'd like you to buy me one of these nice old houses in town, and you and Mac restore it for me.
Right. I told you I'll build you an old house. I'll make it look old, but as far as remodeling, I want the foam insulation. I want all sorts of stuff in that thing, and I don't want to have to adhere to any of the National Historic Society rules that would be required.
I'm so glad we agree on so many things.
I said I can build you one to look like it.
Well, the other thing that we were looking at was that ad for for a green building with steel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was interesting in that, yes, steel has gone up in price, and it's a renewable source. So the things that they were saying about the steel, it's renewable, it is green, but what you have to look at is what it takes that is far from green, is what it takes to create that product in the first place.
Through the mill.
It's kind of like buying these economical gas cars instead of driving the one that you paid off 2 years ago.
Well, everybody's got on the green bandwagon. A lot of times it's not feasible. What you want to do is go out there, do your homework, and put in the things that are going to save you money. Most of us out there are running on a fairly tight budget as far as we're doing our construction. And when you're building a house or doing something, that's a big ticket item. So you want to do as much as you can afford to do to help you, because it'll help you in the long run. We build in shades of green. Now, to get these LEED certifications and Energy Star ratings and all this other stuff, it costs you money. But I know Chris Miles had built the Bannister House over in
I didn't see it. You
Texas.
told me it was marvelous.
It was great. But it was about 2,500 square foot living area.
Yeah.
And ended up costing, I think $400 or $500 a square foot to build.
Whoa.
Because of all the things that they put in that thing. I mean, it would run on like $2 a day electricity.
And the payback is the part that I don't find people doing. How long does it take you to recoup your investment?
If you don't, that's the fallacy of the thing. You're not doing it to recoup. What you're doing it is, especially on a LEED certification, stuff like that, it's more, you want to be environmentally friendly. They've got certain parameters as to where you can order your material. It's got to be within so many 100-mile radius. All your products have to be Forest Stewardship Council certified. Everything that you do has to be green, and the product itself has to be certified.
Mm-hmm.
And
our new house, though, I want to try some of these new things.
Save your pennies.
No kidding. We're going to build our new house 1 square foot at a time.
The money you will save.
Now, what you want to do,
when you started this, I know you've been in the business a long time. Did you see the green movement come this way, this quickly or this slowly?
Well, we started building. It wasn't called green back then. What we were trying to do was build an energy efficient house. And we started, when I first started in looking at this stuff, I was looking at underground houses. And because
geodesic domes.
I was looking at geodesic domes. I was looking at foam dome homes. I was looking at every kind of construction there was. Now, a lot of them are not practical and cost more. But the thing is, I wish I would have built them back then, because I could have built them for half the price that I'm building today. And the movement has been going on for several years. It hadn't always been called green building. It's been called just...
Energy Star's been around for a long time.
Energy Star has been around for 10, 15, I don't really remember how long it's been around. But then they started, Energy Star got its brand, and what they did, it is a way that you can go in and identify certain products that are manufactured that have to meet certain specifications to get an Energy Star label. And everything has a requirement by the federal government. Everything. Whether it be air conditioning systems, your refrigerators, your freezers, your washers, dryers, and everything has to have a certain minimum requirement. And it's specified by the federal government. What Energy Star did is they came in, and if you're above and beyond that code by a certain percentage, then it earned the Energy Star label. And I would advise everybody with their electric bills the way they are today is if you've got to replace anything or upgrade anything, go Energy Star. And we've got to take another break. We'll be back here in just a few minutes.
Did you know that some of the best home builders in the entire nation are right here in Parker County? Hello, everyone. This is Lynn Bearden, president of First National Bank of Weatherford. Our lenders believe your family deserves the best when it comes to your dream home. First National Bank is proud to support the Master Builder Show on QXFM. First National Bank in Weatherford has been building homes in Parker County since 1880. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
Are you having a construction-related issue? Do you need a construction attorney? If so, you may call the law firm of Kelly M. Davis and Associates. Kelly's family background in the construction industry has led to her focus in construction litigation with over 9 years of experience practicing construction law in and around the metro area. For more information, you may visit www.kmdalegal.com or you may call 972-434-8009. That's 972-434-8009. Kelly M. Davis and Associates. Principal offices are located in Louisville, Texas. Croft Foam Insulation and Protective Coatings has over 25 years of experience in the spray foam business, serving residential, commercial, and industrial clients. Croft Foam specializes in open and closed cell polyurethane foam applications to construction, refrigerated trailers, and even castles. Croft Foam is a Fort Worth-based company. You may reach them by calling 817-482-1664 or email at foamman@swbell.net.
Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, 2401 Zion Hill Road, Weatherford, Texas, 682-429-2116. We specialize in homes to suit each and every individual that expects special attention. We help design, finance, and close on every home we build. We use green building techniques in all of our homes. You can contact Jim at masterbuildershow.com. Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, Weatherford, 682-429-2116.
Welcome back to the Master Builder Show. I am your host, Jim Gibson. We're in the last 5 minutes of this show, and Jean is with me, my wife. Today's show is sponsored by the First National Bank of Weatherford, and we've been talking about everything.
And you had a whole program planned,
I had a whole program
I was
planned.
just, I think of
He
things.
prepares for this like I do ball games, pages and pages, and then you just come in and blow it up.
Well, I just had these things occur to me. Things happen, with
I can run what I planned this week, next week, though.
That's true. That's
You
true.
haven't told anybody what it is.
Well,
we
also,
changed.
What I was saying to you was the book that I got here at the station for the big read, My Antonia, is about prairie folks.
Right.
And they're in Nebraska, so they have to contend with cold and heat.
Mm-hmm.
And what they did for insulation were the sod houses.
Right.
They put the kitchen was a separate building underneath the house. Keep it warm, keep it cool. So there's really nothing new under the sun.
Well, there is in technologically wise. Technology has improved, like our air conditioning systems, our heating systems, and stuff like that.
But like you said, I grew up before there was air conditioning. And what you were just saying before about the high ceilings, double hung windows, the high ceilings because the heat was at the top.
And really, you didn't know.
Another thing people can do to save money is maintenance.
Right.
We just did we just had our air conditioner, checked out and everything.
Tuned up.
Fine. So
change your filters.
Change your filters.
Have it.
We do it. Ours is every 9 months. So.
Yeah, have your ducts tested.
That's very efficient.
Make sure you don't have any leakage up in the ducts, because if you've got leakage up there, what it does, you're actually blowing cold air up in your hot attic, which is costing you money. It also is bringing whatever dust and debris down through that, like a siphon, back into your house. So, yeah, you need to have that checked out.
Yeah. And seal off the air leaks just like you do for cold air. You need to do it for the hot air, too.
Right. Make sure that you caulk every year and just do your proper maintenance on your house. It's just kind of like on your car. You know, if you do proper maintenance, you keep our tire pressure right, you change your oil regularly, and take care of everything on it, it'll run for a long time.
Do people not do maintenance? I mean, when you build houses, I know you remind them of everything. Do you ever hear people, well, I didn't do it this time or that time?
The biggest problem we have is people changing their filters in their heating and cooling systems. And what we do, most of ours, we put in like a media type filter, which is a large filter that you only have to change every 9 months to a year. And so, depending on if you're on a dirt road or something, you've got a lot of
debris in
the air that coming in. But they normally schedule a checkup with our air conditioning people to come in once a year and just change the filter and do all the checkups at that point.
Our AC guy called me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He reminded me.
Well, he writes it down, and they keep it on a calendar. And you can either buy a maintenance contract with them, or you can, usually he comes in, and he's responsible for the unit for the first 2 years anyway. So he wants to make sure that, especially after that first year, that everything is running right. And one thing that you can put bad for an air conditioning heating system is not change that filter. You're putting excess load on it, and it's not good for it. It's like not changing your air filter in your car, not changing your oil filter when you change oil, stuff like that. Everything that you can do to keep that unit operating at its peak efficiency saves you money.
Well, the new septic systems that have to be serviced, well, aerobics.
Well, they're not new.
Well, I've never had one, but with Mom, she's got that on a maintenance schedule. Right. She's got the man that comes out.
They're all
she's
supposed
got everything
to be on maintenance schedule.
Yeah, she's got things pretty well scheduled, but she's also scheduled. She has a filter. The vent for the dryer is in the center of the house, and the dryer stopped working. And the man that came out to service her dryer said there wasn't anything wrong with it. The filter through the house was all plugged up. The chute, whatever.
Right.
And that was all plugged up. So now she's on a regular schedule for him to come out and clean that. Because it wouldn't occur to me I'd do the trap that's right there on top. But this was occluded the whole way.
Yeah,
and that's something else to think of.
It depends on the length of the run for your dryer vents and stuff like that. But you need to, like I said, just proper maintenance on everything. Make sure a house will last you a long time if it's built right to start with, and you do your proper maintenance.
But if you don't have a honey for the honey-do list, who do you go to?
Call me.
To do a walkthrough on a house and take care of all the maintenance?
Well, that, or we can line you up with somebody. Anyway, we've got to wrap up this week's show. We'll see you back here, same time, same place.
Thanks for answering all my questions.
You bet, next Tuesday.